everybody. Just wanted to thank the panelists again for really giving a fantastic landscape assessment of the challenges that we're facing in the states. The challenges that we overcame in 2021 and what we have to look forward to in 2022. I think our discussion sets up nicely and dovetails with what Mike's vision is and my vision and Mac's vision is for the state team in 2022. As he mentioned, we're actually going to play in 8 states next year, 5 of which we've been working on for quite a while, and that's Ohio, Utah, North Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, and then 3 others we picked up, Texas, California, and Massachusetts. And as Crystal mentioned, Texas is not in session in 2022, so we'll certainly be working with her to get our ducks in a row there and move forward in 2023. We're looking to introduce proactive legislation, primarily around the access issue, as well as the inclusion of a disease specialist or family member or patient in the decision-making bodies in our state. So, with that comes a lot of work. We've been doing the spade work this summer, working with folks on the ground in those states, trying to find as many patients as we can. And if any of you know any folks that might be interested in getting involved next year in any of these states, or quite frankly, any other states, please let me know. I know I've done some work with Randy, and I've done some work with Tara Britt, but I'd really like to expand my reach on the ground. Because as we talked about, we want a completely patient-centered effort. We want the folks to hear from patients. We want them to hear about their experiences and their challenges, and that will be the most effective voice in getting done what we need to get done. So again, great panel. Excited to be a part of this effort. Mike's really built a strong team, and just looking forward to 2022. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, thank you to all our panelists, and thank you again to our sponsors, Gilead, Biogen, Ortho Therapeutics, and Sanofi Genzyme. As I had mentioned before, this conference will be made available online, and we will be utilizing a lot of our networks to get this out and get more people to be able to access it and gain the information that was made available to us by our wonderful panel members. So thank you to all our panel members. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Angie for our final panelist and for the final portion of our program.
Great. So we are waiting here just for a few moments. So hopefully he will be joining us here just shortly, but I will go ahead and provide a little bit of background, and hopefully we will be able to pull this off right here at the end. But it's been a great day. I know it's been quite illuminating and sometimes a little overwhelming of all of the challenges and work that we have to do. But it's an amazing group of people and advocates and partners along the way that we have that opportunity to continue to build build access and improve access for patients. Hold on here one moment. So to that end, I'm gonna take a risk here and give you a little bit of background on our last speaker, and hopefully he'll be able to hop on here. And we're just a couple minutes early, so we'll see if this works out. But we were very excited to welcome Ben Carr. He was to us by one of our partner advocates, Tara Britt, and she was quite inspired by his story, his energy, and his positivity. We certainly, perhaps after all of these dynamics, might need a little bit of that. So we were bringing him in to provide some motivational words. He's he's having some challenges getting in, so hopefully we will get this worked out. And so, Katie, if you can help out there. Ben Carr has was born with Crouzon's syndrome, which is a craniofacial deformity. And sometimes on a daily basis, really Ben had to choose to be a victor or a victim. He chose time and time again to be a victor, and certainly has proved to be successful in pulling off what many had thought would be against all odds. He's a collegiate scholar athlete, a wrestler. He represented the U.S. in the Olympics as a wrestler. And then he has a beautiful wife and 3 beautiful kids that again came with challenges to build that family. And so his words are quite inspiring. And I am hopeful that we are getting the technical worked out. Oh, okay. I see that he is in. So Katie, if you can open it up, we would really appreciate that. I am certainly a big sports fan, and so perhaps not of wrestling, so I'll have to learn on that. But I am a fan of sort of that feel-good sports stories, and so I look forward to hearing some of Ben's encouraging words as we continue to continue our efforts to improve access to all patients living with rare diseases. Katie, can we open that up for Ben?
I'm working on it.
Ben, welcome, and thank you so much for taking a few moments to share some positive energy and inspiring words after a long day of policy debate and policy challenges.
Of course. How are you guys doing? Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you great.
Awesome. Guys, I am so happy to be here. I'm on a business trip, and I remember when you guys reached out to me and said, hey, this is something that we want to do. We want to enlighten, and we want to inspire, and we want to influence. I just like, yes, let's freaking do this. I'm stoked. I tell you what, I've been asked to share a little bit of light and knowledge about where I've come from and how we have hope, light, and victorious mentality in the world. I remember being born with a craniofacial anomaly called Crouzon syndrome, and the doctors would come to my parents and they would say, hey, your boy's going to be born, he's going to live different. This Crouzon syndrome was going to affect his face, and the mid part of my face would grow to completely different speed than the rest of my face. I remember not being able to eat a piece of steak and swallow it till I was 21. I know for you guys who are vegetarians, that doesn't mean anything, but for you guys who are carnivores, that means I didn't have hair on my chest until I was 21, right? It's just a totally different aspect in life. Learning how to eat, swallow, breathe, and even hear differently. I remember sleeping and hardly being able to sleep very well because the snoring would be so loud because it would be reducing the space in that mid part of my face. I'll never forget growing up and the doctors telling my parents, you know what? Save your money, not just for the surgeries that would be 14 hours long. We would cut his head open from ear to ear. I still have the scars on the side of my head. But save your money for the surgeries that he would have and the therapy that he would have after. The therapist, the psychiatrist, and everything that you need to deal with him will be heavy. Trust me. And so it wasn't the physical side that was so deep for my parents and for myself. It was the emotional side. I'll never forget going into a store with my friend and his mom. His mom would negotiate with us to go to the store and get us to go there, saying, hey, you help me fill up the cart full of groceries, I'll give you some chocolate. We filled up this entire cart full of groceries, a huge family. And this is way before automatic checkout. way before like drone delivery, right? And as we're in this checkout line, we're second in line. And I'm just grabbing my Twix, like just happy I get a piece of chocolate after all my work. And my buddy's picking his piece of chocolate. And there was a man standing in front of me and his two little kids. Two little kids were about my age. Long line, traffic, right? Traffic jam in this time of 5 p.m. And I'll never forget the man looking at me and saying, look at that boy grabbing his two kids. Look how funny he looks. Can you believe he has any friends? Can you believe this boy goes out in public? As he hurried and paid for his groceries, hurried, grabbed his sacks, grabbed his kids, shoved him behind him, and backed out, walking out like he was getting away from a monster. Said, don't touch him. Don't get near him, because if you touch him, he might be contagious. And I don't want you to have that. I'll never forget holding my Twix in my hand, looking down at my shoes, seeing my pants and my shirt, and wishing that if he was making fun of me for anything I was wearing, I could have ripped it into 1,000 pieces. If it was for my shoes, I would have torn them off and like threw them aisles away. But he was making fun of me for something that I couldn't get rid of. My friend's mom took me home. I ran in. I had a stay-at-home mom. And I ran in. I went into my dad's office, and off my dad's office was a bathroom. I remember sinking down to this bathroom wall and just melting. Elementary kid just melting. And in a simple elementary mindset, trying to figure out how I could physically take off my face. It was a rare condition. It was a rare disease. It was something that not very many people had. And so when you saw someone with that rare function or rare disease or rare identity, right, you could definitely, it would stick out. I didn't want that. I didn't want the different. My mom, being the ninja that she was, broke in, unlocked the door. I often wondered growing up, I'm like, she must have been a thief but way before this life, because I don't know how she broke in, but she did. And it was a blessing that she did, because before I got too smart into taking off my face, my mom melted down by me and held me. My mom was an incredible cuddler, but not a very good coddler. She didn't wrap bubble wrap around me. And she never would, because she wanted me to live. That moment, that time, that afternoon, my mom told me truths that would forever stay right here. And at this time, also, my mom had a lower voice than me. It was my prepubescent years. And she's like, Ben, you're going to be a force for good. And I'm like, I'm going to be a force for good. You're going to defy the odds. I'm going to defy the odds, Mom. You're going to step up. I'm going to step up. And my voice is cracking. And little by little, I'm releasing the toilet that I was like using for comfort, right? And I'll never forget my mom saying, Ben, yes, there is a difference. I'm not going to lie to you. You look unique. But use the difference to make a difference. You want to be normal? Jump in line. Be one of the robots in the cog of life. You're going to stick out. So use the ability to be unique to be unique. Step up. Step out. If you're going to get attention, make that attention mean something. Make a difference, Ben. Come on. Little by little, I would look in the mirror, year after year, day after day, month after month. Repetition became action. Action became habit. And that habit of looking in the mirror and telling myself that I could step up, be a force for good, be a victor, not a victim. Not just survive, but thrive. That would become a way of life. The doctors would tell me that I wouldn't do contact sports. My mom would grab me out of that office and we would go out to the car and she would look at me, stick her hand in my chest and say, Ben, that's what the doctors say. And that's okay. We respect that. But you're also going to live. So you're going to be able to say, watch me. I'll never forget going on and being first ever 3-time state champion wrestler in a very contact sport to come out of my high school. I'll never forget winning 5 national titles and getting recruited by one of the top colleges in the country. I was a Boomer Sooner, baby, Oklahoma University. I'll never forget following my heart and going to a local school after I served a 2-year religious mission. And coming closer to home and being Utah Valley University's first ever All-American. And going on to becoming, in 2012, representing USA and be one of their alternates for the 2012 Olympics. I've had the opportunity to speak all over the world and be heard in front of millions of people. I've had the opportunity to have videos go viral, 60+ million people. I also still have the opportunity to choose to be a victor and not a victim. My last story I'm going to share you is this. Me and my wife got married 2009. I thought naturally we would have kids. I thought we would be able to, go out and start the journey outside of what is Cruzon syndrome. I thought I had accomplished that. I've been to some of the top levels of wrestling. I'll never forget trying to plan our kids out and have our family. I'm one of 7 kids. My wife's one of 9. And we're like, let's have the kids. And it didn't happen for us naturally. 4 IVF cycles, 2 miscarriages, having my wife call me when I'm on a business trip and her saying, Ben, you know that baby boy? 8 weeks old. She had a miscarriage. That would then later happen with the little baby girl. We would then go into the adoption realm and be matched with a mom. I was so worried, put my profile out there because the mom and the parents would choose depending on a couple pictures and what you would put in these line items. Luckily, I don't know how, but we got lucky and got matched with a beautiful mom that in the 8th month of us being connected and us funding a lot of money, that she would decide to keep the baby. Though we were like super happy that she'd keep the baby, we were just torn up because of the relationship and lost money and lost time and heartache. Then we get matched up with another mom. And in seven months, we'd find out that she was also placing that same baby girl with 2 other families. I'll never forget my wife coming up to me and pounding me on my chest and saying, Ben, why does this have to happen? It's like having this child torn out from my stomach again. We decided in that moment that we would celebrate the new beginnings and not focus on the past, what could be seen as failures. And we said, every time we do a new beginning, we're going to travel. Needless to say, we went to 30+ countries throughout the world. A lot of new beginnings. But I want to tell you this. You have the opportunity to become a victor or a victim in your circumstances. In those moments, whether I was sitting next to the toilet being made fun of in public or in front of 60 million people online having crazy comments coming out, I had the opportunity to focus for 5. Now, sometimes in my past, when I had a victim mentality, that 5 would be 5 weeks, 5 years, 5 months. And it would literally take me that long to understand how I wanted to react. And understanding that I couldn't control the issues and problems, but I could control the result. I couldn't control the circumstances, but I could control how I dealt with it. We came back as we decided to we came back from those trips and said, let's do this again for adoption. We get a call Hey, you want to pick up a little baby boy? 15 hours later, we're up to pick our baby boy. I go to pick up the boy. We go sign the papers. And right after that, a little baby girl. We were told the little baby girl was to be born, and 2 days later, 20 minutes away. The adoption director looked at my wife and said, hey, Nicole, it's my wife. Would you like to be a mom of twins? Because I know you're a twin. These kids are only 5 days apart, different moms, but you would raise them like twins, Irish twins. And we're like, oh my gosh. We went home. My family had no clue. And we surprised my family and videotaped it. It's on YouTube. Go watch it. Called Care Family Adoption, KJAR. You would think there'd be celebratory people on YouTube, and there were. But with 60 million views through social media and YouTube, you also get people that say not so powerful stuff. I remember responding to a lot of people that were saying, oh, if I had his face, or I wouldn't have kids either. Well, that his wife must be smart not to have his kid. I wonder what happened with the sloth of the Goonies. Story after story after comment of what should have been a celebration time, right? Of us adopting our kids and celebrating and showing our family. In those moments, you get a focus for 5. My challenge for you guys is this. There's tough things that happen. There's tough times that come upon us. Change happens. Sometimes it's painful. But how do you use that change to maximize who you are, to be able to make a change and to make an influence? What's the difference and changes in life if you can't make that difference? I had the opportunity to respond to those people and literally invite people that said, who is this? I'm still trying to figure out if he's a human. To invite those people literally, and comment after comment after that, to say, no worries. God bless you. No hate, no anger. I would like to invite you to come over to my house. In the moments after the darkest of times, the next decision that we make will literally decide our destiny. When you're in the darkest or the lowest of times, when you're in the corner of decision making, am I going to go victor or am I going to go victim? Am I going to go up or down? Am I going to thrive or am I going to survive? Those moments when you don't feel like there's like a light at the end of the tunnel is when the legendary statuses are inked. Who are you? And that focus for 5, when you're focusing for 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours, the better you get, the quicker you can make those decisions. Right in the morning, do you lay in bed after your alarm goes off for 5 minutes or 5 hours wondering what the day is going to be? Or do you know it's exercise time? 5 seconds, boom, I'm up out of my bed. Victor, baby, it's victor time today. We're going to be victorious. Or is it victim? There's no hope. Life is dark. I'm going to tell you that the moment you choose the victor mentality, people see it. In closing, I want to tell you this last interesting experience that changed my life. We would name my boy Liam, my first boy. What I didn't tell you is that 11 months later, after we adopted him, and we would get a call from Liam's mom, birth mom, and she would say, hey, I have a little boy. It's Liam's full blood brother. Do you want to adopt him? We would then go pick up Liam's brother and have 3 kids under 13 months. I am a diaper changing ninja, my friends. Trust me, I'm so good. Eyes closed, I can do it. And we would put out another video. My family had no clue. On this last video, there would be a girl, a mom of a little 2.5-year-old beautiful baby boy. And she would see the rejoicing in Liam and Rowan, my girl, and Kempton. And she would be going through a hard time. I had no clue what she was going through. I don't know this lady. And she would jump on the hate train, the pain train, the anguish train. And she would make a nasty post and a video underneath that video. Underneath the YouTube video that would go in front of millions of people. And just tear me apart on this keyboard. She saw how I responded like a victor to these other individuals. And she very shortly came to a realization that she'd done the wrong thing. Because she saw how I responded in love, in rejoicing, in hope. And she decided that she could be a victor too. I'll never forget, she wrote me a message after she erased her comment, and she said this: "Hey, Ben, I don't know what to tell you, but I want to first apologize for what I said. I did this and I wrote this and I posted this, and I'm sorry. And I want you to know it was because I was in pain. I want you to know that at the same time you were rejoicing in the receiving of your baby boy Liam and your other kids, I had a 2.5-year-old boy. I say had because at that same time I lost him for a heart failure. And I had no clue. It was a freak accident. And I just want you to know that my baby boy that we lost was also named Liam." My friends, there are times of hope. There are times of darkness. And I'm telling you that the decision to choose to be victor and not victim, the decision to choose hope and love and light and truth over what is the opposite? Scarcity, selfish, darkness. It will echo in eternity, not just of the people that you work with, not just of your clients, your patients, the people who you serve, but you, your kids, and the people that they raise. They will always remember you by how you react to those dark times. And that next decision that you make out of the darkest of times will literally and could literally change your trajectory of what you're remembered for. I want to be remembered for not the kid who had Cruzon syndrome and sat in the corner of the toilet and cried every time someone came after him, because it was rare, right? It was a disease or whatever they want to call it. But I want to know Cruzon. I want to be known for the Cruzon syndrome being a blessing to me, to be the difference that allowed me to make a difference. And that's what we get to choose every day, to be a victor, to be a victim, to have those moments of focusing for 5 to allow us to step up, set new standards, and be a force for good. And we get to choose that every day, to allow that thought become a action and that action become a habit. So we literally live victorious lives. So thank you guys. I know it's been a long day. And I know you guys are at the tail end of it, but just remember, there's always, always a chance for a new beginning in life, a new beginning of friendships, a new beginning in your journey. So God bless you guys, and thank you. And thank you so much for just letting me share my story a little bit.
Thank you, Ben. We really appreciate you to sharing your experiences and your energy, and hopefully reminding us all to keep the energy, continue to choose to be victor as we continue our journey, as we continue to improve access for patients with rare diseases. So I thank everyone for their time today, and look forward to working with you as we move into 2022.
Thanks, Angela.